drawn and redrawn, the making of India's internal boundaries.
Hi, and welcome back to India's State Stories, a project that explores the evolution of India's political and administrative boundaries. This project is supported by the Center for Legislative Education and Research, Flame University, Pune.
Now we turn towards the last set of princely states that became the Part C states. These were the unique territories that were governed directly by the central government through a chief commissioner. This status was reserved for such states that were either deemed underdeveloped or held strategic importance. They were also generally intended as temporary arrangements later to be merged into either Part A or B states. The following episodes take a careful look at each Part C state and the story behind its formation. Listen to the first 3 episodes of Season 2 to understand a deeper context. These episodes give an overview of the entire process of integration, along with an introduction to the legal instruments and some key personalities which made it possible. More details are in the show notes below, and let's dive in.
Imagine a newly independent nation trying to piece itself together, not from big established provinces, but from dozens of tiny fragmented pieces. Sounds like a monumental task, doesn't it? Well, today we're diving into exactly that kind of story. The fascinating, complex, sometimes, well, let's say tumultuous integration of what was once Vindhya Pradesh into the fabric of India. We've got a stack of incredible sources from your collection documents that really peel back the layers on this often overlooked chapter of nation building, our mission, to unpack the challenges, the personalities, the politics, and, crucially, the agreements that shape this region.
Indeed. It's a deep dive into how, a collection of 35 princely states, some remarkably small, navigated the powerful currents of post-independence India. We'll explore not just what happened, but why it happened the way it did, and the ingenious mechanisms put in place to ensure a stable transition. What's fascinating here is the negotiation of power, identity, governance, all on a very intimate scale.
Okay, let's unpack this geographical and social mosaic then. Vindhya Pradesh wasn't one single thing. It was a union, right, of 35 princely states, mostly nestled between the United Provinces and the Central Province. Can you just picture that many distinct rulers in such a concentrated area?
And what's really compelling here from our sources is the sheer diversity and the challenges it presented. Rewa was certainly the largest, the most important one, but many of these states were, exceedingly small. Our sources tell us at least 15 had an area less than 50 square miles, and 2 were even less than 10 square miles.
Yeah, 10 square miles.
Yeah, incredibly tiny, and often incredibly poor.
And when we say poor, we're talking about a region described as among the most backward in India. The populations were largely poor, backward, lacking even basic amenities. And think about this. Some of these small states had annual incomes of less than Rs 50,000. That's just a staggering figure for running an entire state. Even back then, how could they function?
Well, exactly. This raised significant financial and administrative difficulties right from the very start. Plus, there was this long history of friction, particularly between Rewa and its Bagelkhan neighbors, and also the Bundelkhand states. Initially, the sources talk about chronic jealousy. It was so bad that 2 separate governments actually functioned within the union itself for a while.
2 governments in one supposed union.
Yes, it gives you a sense of the deep-seated local issues.
So with all that internal tension, it's probably not surprising the first attempt at a unified structure, it faced massive hurdles. The sources detail this initial formation, the United State of Vindhya Pradesh, in March 1948. This union was supposed to be a way to temporarily include all states, leave territorial adjustments for later, and sort of balance Rewa's dominance.
A temporary fix. But as our sources reveal, because of the severe economic and political backwardness and these ongoing internal dissensions, administrative issues, it quickly became clear that Vindhya Pradesh could not function effectively as a union of states. Just couldn't work. The popular ministry formed within it, it collapsed. And that was followed by 10 months of continual dissension among Congress Party leaders in the region, just infighting.
And here's where it gets really interesting on a personal level, too. Rewa itself, the biggest state, was described as being in a mess.
Yeah.
Like no civic amenities, no infrastructure.
Yeah.
And its young Maharaja, Gulab Singh, apparently lacked the experience or will to rule, had to be forcibly deposed.
Yeah, the personal element is crucial. The ambitions or lack thereof of individual rulers really complicated things. Some were cooperative, sure, but others were reluctant, worried about their identity, their power.
So it wasn't just lines on a map.
Not at all. And this raises an important question about public opinion. This integration wasn't just top-down. For instance, there's this amazing story in the sources. A mob, about 2,000 people, actually blocked VP Menon's car in Rewa.
2,000 people.
Yes, protesting against the merger with any province and demanding they be consulted. And the Vindhya Pradesh Congress Committee also passed a resolution against the proposed disintegration of the union.
So significant local feeling against central control.
Definitely. They wanted to say. And adding to the complexity, simply merging these states with neighboring provinces wasn't seen as a great solution either. The United Provinces was already huge. Central provinces had just absorbed the Chhattisgarh states.
Right.
Adding more undeveloped areas was, quote, not seen as beneficial.
So they were truly in a bind. No easy way out.
Precisely.
Okay, so the initial union is faltering, the region's in administrative disarray. It became clear that, well, a stronger hand was needed. This is where Sardar Patel and V.P. Menon step in. Right. Orchestrating the second decisive phase.
Yes. And Manson's approach, according to the sources, was very direct, pragmatic. He basically explained to the rulers, look, the union is a financial and administrative liability. It can't continue. And he told them Sardar Patel wanted its merger with neighboring provinces. But he also emphasized that cooperating with the government of India was in their best interest to avoid losing their privy purses if their states were taken over due to agitation.
Wow, that's pretty blunt. Cooperate or risk losing your income.
It was a clear message about the stakes involved, a stark choice.
So how did that go down? I mean, the Maharaja of Rewa, for instance.
Well, given the dire state of his administration and his own inexperience, as you mentioned, he was persuaded to let the state's ministry manage affairs. He, as the Raj Pramukh, the sort of ceremonial head, then had to appoint central government officials as ministers.
A huge shift in authority then. Essentially central control.
Effectively, yes, while keeping a local figurehead for a time.
And the timing of all this seems absolutely crucial. Our sources stress they signed this comprehensive merger agreement in December 1949, urgently, specifically before the new Constitution of India came into force on January 26, 1950. Why the rush?
Because territorial changes after that date would need parliamentary sanction, which would have added, immense complications, delays.
Okay, so get it done before the new rules kicked in.
Exactly. They needed to make the agreement legally watertight before the Constitution. Critical foresight. And here's a fascinating detail. The Maharaja of Rewa, he was uniquely required to sign the merger agreement twice.
Twice?
Yes. Once as the Raj Pramukh of the dissolved union and once as the individual ruler of Rewa state.
Really?
To ensure absolutely no legal loopholes, covering all the bases.
That's clever. Very thorough.
Extremely. So on January 1st, 1950, Vindhya Pradesh was officially taken over by the center, administered as a chief commissioner's province, initially seen as a, quote, transitional arrangement until stability and development could happen.
Right, a temporary step. Now, let's zoom in on that December 1949 merger agreement itself. You called it legally watertight, and the sources suggest it really was a masterclass in legal and administrative transition. It formally got rid of the old 1948 covenant.
Abrogated completely.
And unequivocally ceded full and exclusive authority, jurisdiction, and powers to the Dominion government. A complete legal transfer.
That's right. The agreement outlines several key provisions, very important to understand. Articles 1 and 2 clearly stated the old covenant was gone, the United States dissolved, all assets, liabilities transferred to the government of India. A clean break.
Okay.
Article 3 was the heart of the power transfer, ceding all governance authority. The end of princely rule there. Then Article 4 dealt with the really sensitive issue, privy purses.
Ah, yes, the money.
Fixed annual amounts specified for each state in the schedule, generally based on 1945-46 revenues, and importantly, tax-free.
And the variation in those purses is quite striking. You mentioned Rewa got 10 lakh rupees annually. Huge sum. But then you look down the list. Banka Pahari, or Bijna, only 3,000 rupees. Turwai, 5,000. It just highlights the massive difference in scale between these states.
Exactly. The figures really tell a story. And these purses were meant to cover all expenses for the ruler and family staff, ceremonies, everything. And it was explicitly stated they wouldn't be increased or reduced. A firm guarantee.
Okay, so financial security. What else?
Well, beyond money, Article V guaranteed rulers and families would keep all personal privileges, dignities, titles they had before August 15th, 1947.
So they lost political power, but their personal status, their legacy, was largely protected.
Precisely. A key part of the deal. Article 6 even guaranteed the succession to the Gadi, the throne of each state along with those personal rights.
Keeping the lineage going,
Yes.
ceremonially at least.
Yes. And Article 7 clarified they kept full ownership, use, and enjoyment of all private properties, separate from state properties. Any disputes go to a judicial officer.
Fair enough. Separating personal and state assets.
And crucially, Article 8 provided immunity. Quote, "No inquiry shall be made against a ruler in respect of anything done or omitted to be done by him or under his authority during the period of his administration."
Wow. A clean slate, essentially. No looking back at past actions.
Pretty much removed a major potential obstacle.
And finally, Article 9.
That safeguarded the public services, ensuring permanent members either continued service or got fair compensation. Pensions continued too.
So it really was a remarkably comprehensive, carefully crafted agreement, addressing all the key concerns to ensure a peaceful handover.
Absolutely. Designed to manage a very complex transition smoothly.
What a journey we've taken through the history of Vindhya Pradesh, from this collection of tiny, struggling states to a union plagued by friction and chaos, and finally this pivotal moment of central intervention that completely reshaped its destiny. It's quite a story.
It really is. And this deep dive, it really shows that delicate balance, doesn't it, between local identity, the ambitions of rulers, and the necessity of national unity back then. It wasn't just drawing lines on maps. It was managing immense human and political complexities.
It really wasn't simple.
What does this incredibly detailed process tell us, really, about how power transitions work, especially during nation building? It's all about negotiation, compromise.
Indeed. The story of Vindhya Pradesh is such a powerful reminder that nation building isn't one grand act. It's a series of intricate negotiations, compromises, clever legal moves. And for you, listening as you consider this story, think about how those transitional arrangements meant for stability and development back then.
Yeah.
How might they have shaped the political, the social landscape of regions like Vindhya Pradesh decades later? What echoes of these pivotal decisions, these compromises, can maybe still be felt in local governance, development, even regional identity in India today? Something to ponder, definitely.